Today, I'm going to tell you a story that will expose my wife's cheating and dangerous correspondence with mysterious, bald-headed uncles. Get ready for a terrific mix of intrigue, betrayal, and unexpected twists of fate. You'll have secrets to uncover that will change all notions of love and fidelity. We begin. Hello, I don't even know where to begin. Meet my wife, and I met 12 years ago. Let me start with how it happened. I was working then as a system administrator at a small firm, and the system administrator, as you know. If everything is set up properly, everything works itself. Here at Me Too, the entire day consisted of sitting on his ass in the office, and I had no computer, was only a phone, but a separate office. Well, of course, I had nothing to do, played with the phone, decided to call for phone sex. The girl who picked up the phone, nice voice, described the services she could provide me, but I refused all services and decided to turn her into a meeting. We ended up agreeing on this meeting, and I mentioned that I would be with a friend and that she would take a girlfriend. I can't write. Tears are coming out. I'm going to drink some cognac. We meet shorter at the appointed day and time, and here she is, my dream, with fiery hair, looks like a model, comes to the car friend. Then I have not had his. I fell in love literally at first sight. By the way, her girlfriend also complied, my friend and I in prostration. Nifiga called me. We went to the river, then to the dacha. At the dacha we separated into pairs. There was no intimacy. I must say right away, I had a long talk with her. It turned out that she was already married, already divorced, and she has a daughter, a year and a half. Now what's next? We met, exchanged phone numbers. I started dating her, but she did not date me. I was kind of a dork for her, a nerd, a programmer. In character and in appearance, I am not. I am good looking. 185 centimeters tall, 86 kilograms then, but really I am a programmer. I had this kind of relationship for 6 months. I was courting her in all the ways known and unknown to me. At the same time, she was keeping in touch with her boyfriends. I was taking her to them too. Then, it was a peeps in the end. After 6 months of my intrigues, I rented an apartment. I took her to restaurants with her favorite dishes. In short, I persuaded her. We had our first intimacy, first connection. Of course, my head was completely swept away. I will not talk about the moments like when she invites me to her birthday party. I come there and she is gone for 2 days. And I bought a present, roses, appropriate number of her years. I give everything to my mother-in-law and my future mother-in-law and leave. At night, I get a call that somehow I have found myself 400 kilometers away from home at the lake. Can you pick me up? Naturally, I take off and fly after her. Pick her up drunk from the boat, then love, carrots, but it's all youth and so on. Under the influence of cognac. Eventually, we started living together. There were nuances. I vacationed with friends without her, drank, smoked, youth, but never cheated on her, of course. After the first failed marriage, she was very jealous. There were nuances on my part. But treason was not even moral. I really loved her, So passed 5 years, and she became pregnant. We got married, had another son, and lived another 8 years. Yes, her daughter is like a mother for me. After all, I have been bringing her up since she was 18 months old, and everything was ok. Sometimes there were everyday quarrels, not painful. And then 2 years ago, her side began some deceptions. At first simple domestic, but as I have an analytical mind, I immediately noticed the difference in her statements, and I could not believe in principle that she could deceive me. And now in the last month, I would not even notice. Knave, in love, her friend paid attention, and so, in recent months, when I appear, she folds classmates. So it was 3 to 4 months, with the beginning 2 years ago household. I hope that the household, of course, those very deceptions, and so, I decided to know everything. Found out on his head. I leaked all base with classmates on its ID, together with the deleted messages. It turns out, at least, all last year, it is at least, have read only for a week there from communications of a shitty mountain. so she actively communicated in the application. Communicate, it is called in those very classmates. There she turned out to have dozens of men. Her rating there was in the region of 18,000, as I understand it. This is about 50th place in the world. Man, as I read the base I fell out. I will bring some of the expressions from one of, I would rather unite love. Here went smiley lips, hearts, and so on. Or do not bring melancholy. She writes back. Then she writes gold, goldfish. I want a real man by my side, maybe forever. I have nothing to lose. I will not lose anything from such a life, but only my youth. It is necessary just to fall in love with a man with mutual desire and passion. Or how you like this saying, such feeling has not visited me for a long time. In time you become very choosy, and you are the light at the end. Or by the way, I have the most favorite actor, and he is also bald, Vin Diesel, and this, friends freak I tell you, to whom she writes, is also a bitch bald. Well, and so on, and so forth. To cut it short, she left her phone number and her own. They called her, and judging by some messages even met. I did not put up with it all, and in a couple of days, I showed her everything, and said that it was all a game. She did not meet anyone, and so on. At the same time, over the past few years from her, I have not heard any fish or kittens about myself, only by name, and there are half of her kittens, Sunshine, and the like. I am shocked. But I am filing for divorce. I apologize for punctuation and for the text. I write at 3 a.m. under the influence of brandy, and thus a week almost did not sleep. Tell me if I am doing right. Thanks in advance, dear listeners. Please share your opinion in the comments. And now move on to the second story. In this exciting video, we will tell you a story that will shake up your ideas about love and betrayal. My wife, while cheating on me, found an ally in cheating in the form of our mutual friend. Get ready for some stunning revelations, and unpredictable consequences that will turn their lives upside down. Hi friends, I want to get my story out there and hear your opinions. I'm 27 now, my wife is 24, we got married. Yes, just 2.5 years ago, and now I'm getting a divorce. My wife and I are pretty much from the same yard company. For a long time, we were just hanging out in that same company, but then over time, I realized that I loved her with all my soul. I was 21 at the time, yes, and she was 18 accordingly. Because of her age, love spiraled actively, and so on. 6 months later, we started living at my place and hers. We loved, we really loved. We went abroad together, vacationed, ran around all kinds of interesting places, and enjoyed life. Everything was really good. Our couple was literally loved by everyone and set us up as an example. But somehow suddenly, after about 3 years of this kind of life, I accidentally found the phone number of the other one. She had it, of course, and I made a printout of the calls. It's just conversations with the guy, and 20 and 30 and 40 minutes for a month. So of course there was a showdown, figuring out what was going on. I called the guy. He claimed no sex ever happened. She swore at the church too. Took her there. Thought she wouldn't lie there. She cried and crawled on her knees. She wouldn't even eat. And so on. She said she was sorry. She said she didn't realize and didn't understand what and who she was losing. So I thought, okay, the girl made a mistake. The girl was young. I convinced myself that there was no sex and I should forgive her. To be honest, I loved her very much. I felt worse than she did. I was betrayed. We started seeing each other all over again, and everything became cool from there. Common interests, concerns, plans for life. I finally calmed down after a year or so and proposed to her. There was no limit to how much joy I could take. Everybody had been waiting for it for a long time, and we wanted it together too. It turns out that before that we had been living together for 4 years through civil marriage. Sometimes at her place and sometimes at mine, but we got used to it for a long time. We started living separately. We started to live separately. We settled down in an apartment which we got after demolishing a 5-story building. We put all our efforts, money, and of course, time into it. Well, we started to live together, as it seemed to me. We helped to dress together in stores. We cooked together. Anyway, it was kind of like an idyllic family situation. We almost never even fought, and there was never a serious fight either. I always discussed problems, assessed them from different angles, and somehow managed to get out of them competently. I, in turn, did everything for the house, mastered a lot of new things I had not been able to do before. She at the same time became a truly wonderful hostess. She worked shifts, and I worked like everyone else 5 on 2. But I always waited after work and always picked her up. Also, since I was a kid, we used to have a bunch of friends in the neighborhood. About 15 or 20 of us used to hang out. And somehow, after all these years of life, we only maintained a real friendship with 2 friends. One of them was married. It was me and my wife, the friend and his wife, and one of our mutual friends. Constantly raced together on cauldrons, even went to have a rest in such composition that in Yaroslavl, in Egypt, in a campaign of some, and even as all on Dacha and so on. In general, friendship since childhood, helped each other in any way we could. I believed in true friendship. But we lived that way for 2 years, and I began to notice a change. Gone were the words of love. Sex became uninteresting. I tried to talk to her about it, but there was no result. And I began to observe a very warm friendship between her and this friend from the company. I watched until I realized that there was a coldness between my wife and me. She hides her phone. And they, on the contrary, when we are together, had a lot of fun, and everything is cool. And together we are, by the way, every weekend for sure, or even more often. In the end, I did the printout again in the megaphone service guide, and I was chilling. All of my guesses were confirmed. As soon as I got home from work, I called this friend. I was at work like clockwork. I came in, I left, and she's on shift. And my friend works a shift, too. Convenient as hell. Anyway, I got home early, packed up my stuff, documents, money, and waited for her. As soon as the door opened, I grabbed her phone and immediately started reading texts. It was like a real romance. She missed me, wrote and wrote that she loved me. The whole 2 days without seeing each other, they discuss how he licked her, how he slept with her. She asks him to send her naked pictures and so on. And the most disgusting thing is that they made love at our house in my bed. I also found out that they were talking 15 times a day and for a long time. For 20 or 30 minutes, and that was it for 4 months. And we've been asleep for 2 months. Anyway, guys, I will not describe the flurry of emotions and everything else. You all know it well without me. First, I wanted to kill them both, then just her, then just him. I decided one thing for sure. It's a divorce. Came over the weekend, picked up the rest of the stuff, and agreed on how we were dividing the property and that we were getting a divorce in a human way. Now she's crying. She won't eat anything again. Says she didn't understand, she got carried away. And she has nothing for him. She's all confused, and I can't blame myself. She stopped communicating with this friend. She doesn't go home, because everything there smells like me and everything was done by me. And when we were sleeping, it didn't smell like me, no. So that's the question, gentlemen. What exposed it? Why is it so easy for people to tear down what they have, and then they cry? And what would you do in that situation? In my opinion, you can't forgive. It's not the first time he's been betrayed. And a person would not go head over heels in such a stormy affair if she really loved me. That's how I see it. Pitiful. Really, I'm sorry to lose everything. What we built together, what we achieved. And I love her. But you gotta get over yourself and tear it up once and for all. It's only been a week since I opened up, by the way. This Saturday, we are going to the registry office to write a dissolution of marriage. Dear listeners, please share your opinions in the comments about this story. And also thank you for watching this video, for subscribing to the channel, putting your likes and dislikes. This lets me know that the content does find its audience. I wish you good luck, good health, and reliable partners nearby. See you soon.